Hi, I'm Shauna Shane, and this is the second video of the young girl with the dark hair, finishing the drawing that I began in my December 26th Zoom class. Using hard, fine charcoal on charcoal paper, my first job is to find the biggest shapes, fill them all in with a middle tone, say a value 5 or even 6, leaving only the lightest lights open. That means that every effort is made to see dark shapes connected to other dark shapes as one, rather than keeping each object separate from another, like in a coloring book. If you squint really hard, so hard that your mom would be mad at you, and I mean squint so hard that you can't even see color, just value, you will notice a lot of darks combine into one shape. When you are able to see that dark shape connecting to the other, you will achieve a giant leap forward in your progress. Working on the progress of this drawing, I continue to modify my shapes and adjust the ones that I notice are a little bit off in one way or the other. I keep working the whole drawing, not just one area at a time, because it's helpful to change focus to a new area often, allowing my observation to reset to each area. I remember a similar instruction from Hawthorne, saying to look around the entire visual field when painting, so that your vision is fresh and your observation is more accurate than when you are too close. This is the same reason artists move 15 feet away or flip their work upside down. It achieves the same result, a fresh, more accurate observation. Notice that although I blend a lot to unify my tonal areas, I don't use my eraser much at this point, except for a blending tool. With a middle value tone put down at my first step, my next step is to darken those areas that need it, revealing middle values as light areas adjacent to extremely dark areas. I'm working the edge here, but the way I get to the edge is to look at the shapes across the form, dark shape, light shape, dark shape, how wide are they? And then revealing where the edge might be, but I'm very careful not to nail that edge too much because it's always a fluid area until I'm a little bit more secure. That profile edge, the edge of the head, is very important. It's bone structure. It tells so much, and I don't want to do it first. I want to do it last. I'm trying to see the exact angle and length of the straight line at the edge of the nose. And then there's a dark area of the hair, a little bit to the right of the lighter area of the opposite eye. As I came down and changed the angle of the nose, then everything below is a little bit different, and so now I'm making a lot of adjustments to what I needed to change. And again, I'm using the eraser once in a while to pull out a light that needs to be pulled out. if it's a change, and the rest of the eraser is used as a blending tool. Sometimes it's very effective to just smear the charcoal a little bit. I notice when I'm doing a voiceover, looking at what I'm doing, it's like I can see what my students always see when I'm doing a demonstration. It's like, can't you see that that particular area is incorrect? When will you fix that? So it's always, I'm probably a little bit behind what you can see, but it comes around little bit by little bit as I adjust my shape, trying so hard to just see what's the value, what's the direction, what's the length. Everything is a shape. My new religion is shapes and values. And of course, the more you draw, the more you practice, the better you get. This is very much related to how many hours you can put in. At least 1 hour a week will get you some progress. If you put in 1 hour a day, you'll get a lot more, and a professional artist is going to be putting in 6 or 7 hours a day. That's why they get very, very good at what they do. It is not talent, it does not come from something inherited. The only thing inherited, I believe, is the passion, the enjoyment, the drive to get better. That seems to be with some people more than others. But all the rest is about how much you're willing to put into it, how much you're willing to learn. Just like a piano player needs to practice, so does a draftsman. One of the most aha moments in an artist's progression is the realization that the lights and darks are absolutely dependent on the relationship to each other and the size of that value related to the other surrounding opposite value. Any small value surrounded by a large opposite value, light surrounded by a large dark, or dark surrounded by a large light, will be influenced by that opposite value. The most common example of this is the small openings like sky holes in a tree canopy. They will always need to be darker than the value of the rest of the sky. In fact, the actual value of that sky hole is changed by the bouncing or the refraction of light from the dark areas of the tree into the light opening in the tree hole, the sky hole. If that phenomenon is not observed, each of the small sky holes will look like popcorn. This other example, the one that I see most often with my students, is the tendency to erase the white of the eye out of the shadow cast by the orbit or the eye socket, making the expression look positively frightened or amazed. This is a really good illustration of our expectation that the white of the eye will be white, influencing what we think we are seeing. As soon as the student squints really hard, taking that interpretation or expectation away, then it is easy to see that there is nothing inside of that eye socket that is lighter than a value 5. with everything else being a significantly darker shadow. Placing the dark adjacent to the remaining untouched middle values reveals the light of the eye to be the proper value. The hair is another difficult problem to understand because what we've known since kindergarten is to expect strands of hair to be represented by repeating linear marks, building the illusion of hair. Straight up and down, hair marks, a whole bunch of them, that makes hair. However, when the idea of hair gives way to the observation of value, most effectively represented by a middle value hatching mark going across the form so it can be easily blended, then the next step is to add values darker than 5, concentrating on the larger forms first. Adding the smallest dark shadow shapes brings out the highlights. It's interesting to consider a sweater with a loose weave. It would seem just as appropriate to make lines representing the yarn, just like we made lines making hair. This illustrates that our learned symbol for hair is the reason that we see hair this way, but it is not how we see threads in a sweater. Right now, I'm giving additional tone to the negative spaces in the drawing so that everything is not quite so harsh, and I can blend edges a little bit more easily. Edges are so wonderfully important. We've probably heard the adage that we have hard and soft edges, lost and found edges. Now you see them, now you don't. The variety of edges is wonderfully effective in providing relief from a constant, repetitive edge, which sometimes happens when every edge is harsh and hard and cut out as if it were sliced out of a piece of paper and pasted onto another sheet. That's a beginner's problem, and something that as experience happens and education happens, the awareness of edge variety is obvious in an artist's development. It's one of my theories that photography is part of the reason that we see so many paintings and drawings with sharp, hard edges everywhere. It's inside of every photograph that's focused correctly that everything's going to be sharp, every edge, no matter what part of the picture plane, the distance, these edges, left and right, center, they're all sharp, hard edges because that's how the photograph is seen. But our own eyesight, on the other hand, can only focus in one area and everything else slides out of focus. You can only see what you're looking at in sharp focus. The perimeter of your view is not in sharp focus, it's soft. And that's part of why art has always indicated that there's a variety of edges, and you want a sharp focus on places that you want to pay attention to, and you want a softer, more elusive edge where things are not so important. Just keep that in mind, because the reason we love things that are not exactly symmetrical and centered is because our brain kind of likes to see variety, and it loves to be entertained. And so if you say everything, if you make everything just like a photograph, it leaves nothing to the imagination, and it is not what I call a conversation. It's only just a lecture. Here I can make everything perfect. I can make it look like a photograph. Aren't I special? I call those kind of drawings and paintings, aren't they amazing? But you don't need to look at them twice, and they leave nothing for you as the viewer to interpret or add. So I find a little mystery, a little bit of variety, a little bit of now you see it, now you don't, and some of the artist's interpretation and expression happening. That's when art starts to be really enjoyable, and you can see something new every time you look at it. I'm going to finish this drawing by continuing to do the exact same thing as before, looking at various areas, adjusting what I see to the most accurate and value and shape possible. You'll notice I observe and then I proceed to make the change that I think is necessary. I've actually speeded this up quite a bit from what I actually do, because otherwise it just takes too long, especially the observation part. I'll let you watch without comment, because the smallest observation requires the most attention. I will just say this. It is absolutely crazy cool to see progress in your ability to see without the identification and expectation of that object getting in the way. Excellence is a good thing, and the pursuit of excellence will keep you happy for a lifetime. Lucky thing, since it is elusive and we never quite get there. So enjoy the rest of this drawing. Enjoy the rest of this drawing, and please subscribe if you can, and I will see you with the next demonstration. Happy drawing. This is Shauna Shane.